Welcome to the Conscious Kinky Podcast, where we explore sexuality, connection, and power through awareness and intentional choice.
At the Kink Collective, we help people reframe their relationship with sexuality, build deeper connections, and become safe spaces in the world.
Each episode invites reflection, not performance.
And the conversation continues inside Conscious Conversations, our live community space. Welcome to the conversation.
What if the people closest to you are not telling you the full truth? Not because they don't care, but because they don't know how you will react.
What if someone has something honest to say to you, but they're editing themselves before they ever open their mouth?
Because a lot of people say, be honest with me. Tell me how you feel. You can say anything.
But the deeper question is, do people experience that as true?
Do they feel safe being honest with you, or do they have to manage you first?
Welcome to the Conscious Kinky Podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Joshua.
This podcast exists to help people understand themselves more clearly, relate more honestly, and stop repeating patterns that they don't fully understand yet.
This month, we're closing month 6. The theme has been impact, how we affect people, how people experience us, and what changes when we stop measuring ourselves only by what we meant.
In episode 1, we talked about intention versus impact. What you meant is not always what they felt.
In episode 2, we talked about the energy we bring into the room. That's a big one. What people feel from us before we explain ourselves.
In episode 3, our last episode, we talked about feedback, defensiveness, and repair. Can we stay present when our impact is named?
And today we bring it all together with one of the most important relational questions. Am I becoming safer to be honest with?
Not, do I think I'm safe? Not, do I want to be safe? Not even, do I tell people that they can be honest?
But do people actually feel like they can tell the truth to me without being punished, without being managed, dismissed, or made responsible for my reaction?
The theme for month 8 is, your intentions matter, but your impact teaches the truth.
And this week, we're asking, how do people experience me when they need to tell me something hard?
Because impact is not only what happens when everyone feels good. Impact also shows up when there's discomfort, when someone names a boundary, when someone gives feedback, when someone says no, or even that hurt, or I need something different, or I don't agree, or I'm not ready, or I need you to slow down.
That is where relational safety becomes real. Not in the easy conversations, because that's easy, but in the difficult ones.
If someone can only be honest with you when their honesty is comfortable for you, that's not full honesty, that's edited honesty.
And edited honesty eventually becomes distant. People stop saying the thing, they soften it too much, they delay it, they hint instead of speaking clearly. I wonder if that's what I do with food. Mama, are you hungry? They say they're fine when they're not. They manage your nervous system before they can share their truth.
And when that happens, the relationship may look peaceful on the surface, but underneath, trust is just thinning out.
So today's about becoming the kind of person who can hold more truth. Not perfectly, not without emotion, but with enough maturity that people do not regret being honest with you. I've had to learn that being strong, being clear, or being a leader does not automatically mean people felt safe telling me the truth. Sometimes people look at a strong presence and assume, I don't know if there's room for my truth here. Or, I don't know if my truth will be received. Another crowd favorite is, I don't want to disappoint him.
That's so important because sometimes people aren't hiding things because they're dishonest. Sometimes they're hiding things because they don't know if the relationship can hold the truth.
Yeah, that's exactly it right there. And there have been times where I've had to ask myself, have I created enough room for people to disagree with me? Have I created enough room for someone to say they felt hurt, or for someone to say no? Or for someone to say, that didn't work for me?
That's such a mature question, because a lot of us assume that if we care about people, they should know they can be honest. But people don't only respond to our care, they respond to our patterns.
Yeah. They respond to what happened last time they were honest. Did I listen? Did I get defensive? Did I get quiet in a way that felt punishing? Or did I over-explain or collapse and give up on myself? Or did I make them reassure me? Or have I even actually changed anything?
For me, I've had to look at the ways people might soften things around me. Not because I'm intentionally making it unsafe, but because maybe I've communicated through my reactions that certain truths are harder for me to hear. And that can be uncomfortable to admit.
It absolutely can. Because none of us want to think we're the people that are making others edit themselves around us.
But if we really want honest connection, we have to be willing to ask, what truth might people be afraid to bring to me? Or what do they already know about how I'm going to react? Or what have I trained people to avoid?
And this is where this episode gets real, because becoming safer to be honest with is not about saying, you can tell me anything. It's about becoming someone whose behavior proves that.
All right, let's define this clearly. Being safer to be honest with does not mean you never have feelings. It doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you agree with everything. It doesn't mean that you let people speak to you with no care or accountability.
Being safer to be honest with means your response does not punish the truth.
It means people can bring you something real and you can stay present enough to hear it.
Yeah. It means someone can say no. Someone can say, I'm unsure, or I need something different. Someone can say, I'm hurt, or I don't agree, or I'm not available for that. Or they can come back and say, this is how that landed. And you do not make them regret saying it.
That doesn't mean you never need a pause. It doesn't mean you instantly know what to say. And it doesn't mean you don't ever feel hurt or embarrassed or defensive or confused.
It means you can be affected without becoming unsafe.
And that's the line, right? Can I be affected without becoming unsafe?
Can I feel discomfort without punishing the person who trusted me with honesty? Can I feel shame without making them comfort me? Can I be surprised without dismissing them? Or feel exposed without attacking? Or need time without disappearing?
That's what builds trust, right? Not perfection, but a trustworthy response.
A trustworthy response. People edit themselves for many reasons. Sometimes they grew up in environments where honesty was punished. Sometimes they learned that disagreement created conflict, so they wanted to avoid it. Sometimes they learned that people with power were not safe to challenge, or that to survive by reading the room and saying the safer thing was what was more important.
Sometimes they edit themselves because the actual pattern in the current relationship, maybe every time they bring something up, it becomes a fight, or they end up taking care of the other person, or sometimes their words get twisted, or they're told that they're too sensitive. And maybe nothing changes anyway, so why bother?
So people adapt. They soften and delay. They hint or go quiet. Sometimes they become agreeable. So they stop asking for what they need, and they share the version of the truth they think you can handle.
And then the person on the other side might say, well, why didn't you tell me?
Why didn't you tell me? But the deeper question is, what happened when they tried?
That's the question. What happened when they tried?
Because if someone has attempted honesty before and the impact was defensiveness or collapse or breaking up or giving up, dismissal, punishment, then their silence may not be a lack of truth. It may be a learned protection.
That's why this week matters, because we are not only asking, am I honest? we're asking, do I make honesty livable for the people around me?
Do I make honesty livable for the people around me? That's a big one.
Let's name some of the ways people unintentionally make honesty harder.
One way is defensiveness. I think I've been good with that one in the past. Someone says, that hurt. And the immediate response is, but that's not what I meant. You misunderstood. And I'm guilty of these for sure. But I didn't do anything wrong.
Another is collapse. Someone shares their experience and suddenly they have to take care of you. You become so ashamed, so devastated, or self-critical that the focus shifts away from their truth.
Another is interrogation. Asking questions in a way that feels less like curiosity and more like cross-examination. Well, when exactly did I do that? What did I say? Why didn't you say it sooner? Oh, that sounds familiar in my body. Are you sure that's what happened?
Another is punishment through silence, right? Not taking space responsibly, but withdrawing in a way that makes the other person feel the cost of being honest.
Another one is over-explaining. You keep talking till the other person stops having room for their experience.
Another is making the conversation about your intention. I was just trying to help, or I care about you, or you should know me better than that.
Another one is using past behavior, especially if it was good, as a defense. But I've done so much. But I've always been there for you. But I've been trying.
All of those may come from pain, or fear, or shame. But the impact can be, it's not safe to tell you the truth unless I'm ready to manage your reaction.
Yeah. These hit heavy, man.
I know.
These hit heavy. Now, what does a safer response sound like? It doesn't have to be perfect, that's for sure. But it needs to create room.
It can sound like, thank you for telling me, or I want to understand, or I can feel myself getting defensive, but I'm listening, or I need a moment to take that in. Maybe I don't want to respond too quickly, or can you help me understand how that landed? I hear how that affected you. Or I want to come back to this with care when you're not ready to do it right now.
Notice what these statements do, because I feel them in my body. Like I've said these. I've said these throughout my lifetime. And it's like, they don't erase the other person's experience. They don't instantly agree with everything. And they don't abandon self-respect. They create room for truth to keep moving.
And sometimes that's what people need most. Not a perfect response, but simply not a punishing response.
Because when someone brings you the truth, the first few moments matter. Because they're watching. Can this be held? Can it be named? Is it okay for me to stay here? Or will I be punished for being honest?
And the way you respond teaches them what's possible the next time.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into our frameworks, ICAPs, and becoming safer to be honest with. And we're not going to do it just by repeating definitions, but by using them. We start with I, introspection. Introspection asks, how do I respond when truth disrupts my comfort? What happens in me when someone says something I don't want to hear? Do I tighten? Do I defend? Do I give up? Do I go blank? Maybe I rush to explain or make them take care of me.
It also asks, what truth am I afraid people might tell me? What do I suspect people are editing? Or what do I already know has been hard for others to bring to me?
And that level of introspection is very, very uncomfortable at first, but it's also where the change begins. Next is C for container.
The container asks, do I create conversations where honesty can happen safely? Right? Do people know that there's room to pause, or that they can say no, or that they can even disagree with me? Or do they know that they can slow down? And most importantly, do they know that repair is possible?
What a container might sound like is this. I want to make room for honesty. If something is hard to say, we can go slowly. I may need a moment, but I want to hear you. You don't have to soften this to take care of me. Let's pause if either of us gets overwhelmed.
And that creates structure. Structure helps truth to be less chaotic.
Next is A for authenticity. And authenticity asks, do I invite truth or or only the version that keeps me comfortable?
That question is strong because sometimes we say we want honesty, but what we really want is reassurance. We want the truth as long as it confirms that we are good and loved and wanted and safe and right.
Authenticity means saying, I want the real answer, not just the answer that protects me, and then becoming strong enough to receive it.
It also means being honest about your limitations. I want to hear this, and I may need to slow down. I'm affected, but I don't want to shut this down. Or I'm not sure what to say yet, but I'm staying present. V is for vulnerability. Vulnerability asks, can I hear hard things without losing myself? Can I let someone's truth touch me without making it a threat to my worth or my value?
And that's the deeper work, because when people bring honesty, we may feel exposed, we may feel embarrassed, we may feel afraid of losing connection, or like we're failing.
But vulnerability says, I can be seen in this moment and still remain here. I can be affected and still be responsible. I can hear something hard and still choose care.
That kind of vulnerability makes honesty a lot safer. And speaking of safe, now here comes safety. S for safety. And safety asks, am I safe to be honest with? Not in theory, but in practice.
Do people feel like they can tell me when something hurts, or when they need more, when they need less, when they disagree, when they're unsure? Can they tell me when they need to slow down, or even when they're disappointed?
Safety means truth can enter the relationship without immediately becoming danger.
And if the answer is not always, it's not the end, it's information. That's the beginning of practice.
Yeah. So next is our MISS framework, MISS, and
All right.
honesty and connection.
All right, so we'll look at this through the lens of miss, right? Because honesty has to be built through the pacing of connection. So M is for meet. At the meet stage, the question is, can I meet someone's honesty without making them regret telling it to me?
When someone shows you a little truth early on, how do you respond? Do you make room? Do you become curious? How about respecting their pace? Do you use their vulnerability as access, or do you push for more?
People are learning from the beginning whether honesty is welcome with you. So I is for invest.
At the invest stage, trust is built over time. People are watching. Do you respond consistently? Do you repair? Do you remember what they shared? Sometimes it's hard for me because my memory is about that big. Do you adjust when something matters? Do you honor what they say?
Investment reveals whether honesty becomes safer or less safe over time.
These are hugely important because a person might share once, but whether they share again depends on what happened after that share. Next is share information.
At the share information stage, honesty becomes a little more direct. This is where people begin to say what they need, what they feel, what they're afraid of, what they want, and what's not working.
So the question becomes, do I make room for information that challenges me? Can I receive truth that doesn't flatter me? Can I let someone's reality exist next to mine?
Shared information is not just about what I reveal. It's about whether I can make room for someone else's truth as well. Last S is for shared experience.
At the share experience stage, honesty gets tested. Because once you share what your real experience with someone, conflict will happen. Misattunement will happen at some point. Needs will differ. Impact will happen. Repair will at some point be required.
So the question is, do people experience honesty with me as connection building or as risky?
If honesty leads to closeness, trust grows. If honesty leads to punishment, people protect themselves.
And that's why becoming safer to be honest with is not a personality trait. It's a practice.
It absolutely is a practice. So now we want to bring this back to you, our supporters, our viewers, you guys, because every one of us has places where we're easier to be honest with and places where it's much harder to be honest with.
This isn't about shame. It's about responsibility. It's about becoming someone who can hold more truth.
Take your time with these questions, bring them into your journal, bring them into Conscious Conversations on Tuesday, and notice where your body reacts as you answer.
Because sometimes the question that makes you defensive is the question that has the most to teach you.
Awesome. So we're going to move into our first set of questions in Breakout 1, awareness and orientation. For the first set, take about 3 minutes per question. The goal is not to attack yourself. Don't shame yourself. The goal is to honestly examine whether people experience you as safe to be truthful with. Before we go into the first question, remember, we'll ask the question. Before we answer, pause. Take 3 minutes to put down your answer and then come back. And then in a day or two, revisit the questions and flesh them out further. Question number 1. Do people tend to tell me the truth directly, or do they soften, hide, or manage it? What patterns have I noticed? Do people come to me clearly? Come to you clearly? Do they hint? Do they delay? Do they say things carefully? Or do they wait until things have built up?
Gulp, she says. There was a period of time, well, most of my life, and then I finally became aware of it, that I would react to people or react to things out of trauma, out of triggers, and my reactions would be big, and there would be a lot of feelings. I'm guilty of making people feel uncomfortable for having told me the truth. I respond to or relate to the part where we talked about people feeling like they have to take care of me because my reactions are so big, because I feel shame and I feel bad when you bring me the truth that is maybe not flattering to me, or maybe points out where I've made a mistake or where I could have done something differently. And so people historically have tiptoed around me. They have hinted or delayed or said things carefully, or even not said things at all. And like, I find out about things later on. Now, I know we've committed to answering these questions in the current, right? Where am I today? I like to think I'm better at that now. I think at the beginning of our relationship, you used to manage my feelings because I reacted. I had big reactions to things sometimes, and nobody wants to deal with that. So I've learned over time. I like to think I'm better at it now than I used to be. I'm at least more aware of it than I used to be. And when I'm having a reaction that's like that, what I do try to do now is not do it at the person who brought me the information. If I'm going to cave in on myself, which still happens from time to time, I try to do that on my own. I separate myself. I take a break, and I go through it until I can come out the other side of it, so that I don't make you feel bad for having told me the truth.
Yeah. For myself, I look at it as proximity. The further a person is from me, the easier it is for them to tell me the truth. Like the people I work with, that's the whole point. It's like we're here to be truth-telling. The closer a person gets to me, I think it can be difficult, a little more difficult for them to tell the truth. And I think it's from fear of disappointment, or fear of I think disappointment's like where my mind goes, they're going to disappoint me if they say A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. And yeah, I think that's how I answer that. Do people tend to tell me the truth directly, or do they soften, hide, or manage it? It also depends what they're telling me, right? If they fucked up, they're going to tiptoe around that shit a lot for the most part, which I'd prefer they just come and tell me.
That's been a hard one.
Yeah.
I've tiptoed around the drill instructor.
Yeah, because the truth about it is we're here for a reason, right? Like sometimes it's not easy to be told the truth because of how I would react or respond, right? It's like sometimes I would get upset. Sometimes I would take it incorrectly or not the way it was meant. And that's my work to do. So that's why we're here with these questions, is to really unpack this.
Yes.
So let's jump on to question number 2. How do I respond when someone tells me something I don't want to hear? Do I listen? Oh, absolutely, I listen. Do I defend? Do I give in and give up? Do I collapse? Do I dismiss or explain? Do I punish or withdraw? Or do I get quiet in a way that creates tension?
All right. I like to think that now, when someone tells me something I don't want to hear, I navigate internally through my first reaction, which could be any one of these, and try to come out the other side to a place where I can listen, where I can hold the other person's truth, the other person's feedback, and be okay with it. So these, defending, collapsing responses are something now that I navigate internally, because what I want to do is be the person who can hear them.
Yeah.
This is relatively new ground for me because I used to do all this stuff.
Yeah. I feel similarly. And depending on who it is, depending on what it is, sometimes I do listen. Sometimes I do get defensive. Sometimes I do all of this because maybe I want to avoid conflict, right? Punish, I'm not a big, I don't, punish is difficult. Like, I do withdraw. I have gone into all of these in some capacity or another, depending on who it is and what the circumstance is. And that's not necessarily how I want to show up. But I think a lot of it has been conditioning and default that I find myself explaining or dismissing. And again, depends on the proximity of the person to me, too. So, yeah. Question number 3. Where do I say I want honesty but only welcome it when it feels good? Where do I want truth as long as it confirms my self-image? Where do you become less available when honesty challenges you?
Well, for me, sometimes that has to do with me being the one being honest, right? I only want to bring honesty if I think that the other person's going to be okay with it. So I can relate to that from the other side. In addition to welcoming honesty when it supports my view of myself. I have a harder time hearing honesty when it flies in the face of how it is I see myself. When the feedback that I'm getting indicates that I've fallen short of living by my values, that's harder for me to hear.
What comes to mind is when I say, hey, how are you doing? And the person starts to tell me, but it's all negative. However, it's the same negative story, right? It's like, oh, I'm back with the ex-boyfriend again, the one that did X, Y, and Z to me. It's like, I'm done hearing this negative shit. I don't want to hear this negative stuff anymore. I want to hear positive, right? Like, yeah, you've made the same choices again and you've gotten to the same point again. Nothing I could do for you. It's like at that point, I just want to hear, I want to hear good shit. I don't want to hear bad stuff because you keep touching the iron after you plug it in and watch it get hot. Ooh, where's that coming from? Where do I want truth as long as it confirms my self-image? Because when that happens, like when someone goes into area that I really don't care to hear, or it's like, because when I say that, what I feel is everyone has a bad day, but pessimism is a different story. And when I go into these areas, I go into a negative version of myself and judgmental version of myself. And it's like this conflict internally because I don't want to sit here and judge you, but you're fucking telling me shit that's making me, I'm judging the information you're telling me because you're back at it again. And sometimes I get disappointed in myself. Sometimes I have shame around it. Because sometimes I don't want to support someone going through shit that they've put themselves in. And sometimes it makes me feel fake, like a fake friend, because I'm not willing to sit here and hear your 13th version of the same story. Where do I say I want honesty, but only when it feels good? Also, I think in scenarios where where do I say I want honesty, but only welcome it when it feels good? Yeah, I think that's where I land with that.
Yeah. You don't shirk from genuine feedback anymore, I don't think.
What emotional response of mine might make honesty harder for others? Is it anger? Is it disappointment? Silence? Tears? Is it over-explaining? Interrogation? Is it self-pity? Is it withdrawal? What reaction might people be trying to avoid? I won't say anger. Yeah.
All right.
Anger could be a reason why. Or disappointment. I think disappointment's a bigger one than anger. Joshua's going to be disappointed in me if I X, Y, and Z.
That's true.
I think disappointment's bigger than anger.
Yeah. The emotional responses of mine have to do with the caving in ones. Tears, over-explaining, self-pity, the over-the-top shame can make people not want to tell me the truth.
Yeah, and if you put pessimism into the here at all, it's going to like really fuck me up.
Yeah.
So it's like it really doesn't do anything for me. So in between the rounds, we're going to come out of our first breakout room. The first breakout room is 20 minutes. They're both 20 minutes. And before moving into the second round, because this can be some unpacking, let's take a breath and let that first set of questions settle.
And so in one sentence, what did you notice about yourself with that round of questions? And with one word, what are you leaving that round of questions with?
Fill those questions out. Pause the video, fill those questions out, and let what you write down be enough. You don't have to turn it into a full explanation. It's just a check-in. Just notice what surfaced. We're going to be moving into the second set of breakout questions. Again, pause after we ask the question, before we answer. Take 3 minutes, fill it, and then come back in a couple of days and flesh it out some more.
So the second set is about integration. Not just seeing where honesty may be hard with you, but practicing what could make it safer. Again, take 3 minutes per question. Okay, next question. What would it look like to become easier to tell the truth to? What would need to shift in the way you listen, in the way you pace, in your tone, your ability to repair, or just your response when something is uncomfortable? For me, I've had to become calmer. I've had to become someone who can listen and not cave in and not go into that extreme shame spiral, self-pity reaction. When I can just take a breath and let someone tell me a truth and then just let it be okay. And so for me, it's breathing, it's slowing down. That's what's had to shift in my pacing, is to just slow down and calm my tone down and be willing to make amends when I've clearly done wrong.
I think for myself, as I'm listening, it's all about body positioning, right? Because there's a difference between, here, face me. There's a difference between I have to tell you something versus I have to tell you something. Right? There's a confrontational feeling when it's face to face. That sometimes, like for me, what I like to do is sit next to a person as opposed to across from a person. Because it's like, it's walking with versus adversarial. And I noticed this doing the men's work and the carpet work. It's like a lot of these, like, all right, men, we're about to do this thing and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, let's do it from here where I'm with you versus where I'm across from you.
Like where I'm at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that changes. And that changes a lot for me. And it allows us to just like, because it's us against the problem, not us against each other.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. All right, next question.
Yeah, I'm good at this stuff.
I know. I know. What kind of container can I create when someone brings me something hard? Could I slow down or listen? Maybe I need to learn to ask better questions or respond with care. How do I make room for the truth without rushing for resolution?
I think it's about the container. I think it's about sitting down, turning off the phones, giving undivided attention, eye contact, compassion in it. It's like just to take a breath and slow down, and then at the end ask, are you complete?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this reminds me of my 6-point criteria for talking at all, right? Is it honest? Is it truthful? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? And does it need to be said right now? Like if I want to bring a truth or someone wants to bring me a truth, are we giving ourselves the best opportunity? Is now the right time? Right? Do we both have the bandwidth to have this conversation right now? Or would it be better had another time when one of us isn't so tired, or when one of us isn't hungry, or one of us doesn't have to rush out and go to work or run off and do something else? Right? So being mindful that when we go to have these conversations, we're giving ourselves the best possible opportunity for a good outcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Mom.
All right. Next question. What specific behavior would show others that honesty is safe with me? Not just telling people, oh, you can be honest. What behavior would prove it? If you paused, if you took a calmer tone, if you asked a follow-up question or offered to repair, maybe your response changes and you show a willingness to listen first.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity. What specific behavior would allow? Curiosity. Ask more fucking questions.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Tell me more.
That line has been pivotal for me. I learned that line from you. Tell me more.
Tell me more.
Right. And that's also a good way for me to forestall my reaction. Like if I need time to process my reaction, I can say, tell me more. And that gives me time.
It makes me think about over the week we had a rental here, photography photo shoot, and there was a little hiccup in access to some certain equipment, and they used it without permission, and it was upsetting, right? And I came in and I addressed the circumstance and the situation, and in that same space, there had to be an invitation for honesty, because while there was a rupture, I want to make sure that you can say what you need to say. And the invitation was, why did you think that was okay? For the fault to come into the purview, and then for us to talk about it without the projection of anger, but like adults. Now, I'm not walking on water. I'm not some emotional Jedi. That was like hugely impressive for me, because I still needed to create a container for a person to feel safe enough to tell the truth about why they did what they did. And I had to create a space to listen. I had to be genuinely curious as opposed to judgmental or condemning. And I feel like the conversations were had, and on the other side of it, there was an agreement and acknowledgement and accountability, because we were able to stay within that container of honesty, especially in rupture like that, in the moment.
It's a big deal. All right.
Question number 8. What relationship would change if I became more trustworthy with the truth? What would become possible? More honesty, more ease, intimacy, respect, less guessing, less resentment, less performance.
All of the above for me. When I can show up and someone can tell me the honest truth, and I don't do any of the negative things, when I'm able to practice those things, then all of the relationships, it's much easier for people to bring me the truth, and it's much easier for me to hear the truth, even a challenging one.
Yeah, I'm on board with you. It's like, it just needs to be consistent practice everywhere I go and everything I do.
Yeah, because it's across all relationships, regardless, whether it's a work relationship or an intimate relationship or just a friendship, a casual, whatever. You know, I mean, I have a fairly casual friendship that sort of fell apart. And when I came back around and said, do you have any reason, do you have any idea why this happened? They told me a truth that they had been afraid to tell me.
Yeah. Like myself, I can think about someone who there's space between them and myself, and The difficult part around it is the disappointment that I have, and not wanting to address it because I don't know if they've stepped up to the plate yet to address it, but I wouldn't know unless I asked. And that's the truth about it.
That's fair.
So that was a quick one. I like this.
Yeah.
Before we close, let's review the questions for this upcoming Conscious Conversations. Month 8, Episode 4. Becoming safer to be honest with. Set 1 is awareness and orientation. Question 1. Do people tend to tell me the truth directly, or do they soften, hide, or manage it?
Question 2, how do I respond when someone tells me something I don't want to hear?
Question 3, where do I say I want honesty, but only welcome it when it feels good?
And then what emotional response of mine might make honesty harder for others?
Yes. So the next set is set 2, integration and accountability. Question number 5, what would it look like to become easier to tell the truth to?
Question 6, what kind of container can I create when someone brings me something hard?
Number 7, what specific behavior would show others that honesty is safe with me?
And then the last question, what relationship would change if I became more trustworthy with the truth?
These are good.
Yeah.
These are good.
Listen, being safe to be honest with is one of the deepest forms of relational trust. Not because you never react, but because people know your reaction will not become punishment.
They know you can pause. They know that you're capable of listening and that you're able to repair after a rupture, after a breakdown. They know that their truth has somewhere to land.
And this is exactly what we practice inside Conscious Conversations every Tuesday night. This is a live guided space where you can reflect and speak your truth. You can hear yourself, hear others, notice your patterns, witness other people's patterns, and practice these questions in real time. You get to stay connected to the work long enough for something to actually change.
Conscious Conversations meets every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And for $30 a month, you get access to that live space weekly, a place to reflect, practice, and stay connected to the work.
And for those who want more support, the Integration Circle gives you the Tuesday night conversations, a private WhatsApp group, community, and a monthly live session with us where you can ask questions, process what's coming up, and get support integrating what you're learning.
Our episodes come out every Wednesday on Spotify and YouTube, so you have more ways to stay connected to the conversation before we meet live on Tuesdays. With that being said, we may be doing a weekend Conscious Conversations to get our people over across the pond, the Atlantic, connected with us too, because there's been a lot of ask for that.
Honesty needs somewhere safe to land.
And if you want deeper relationships, you have to become someone who can hold deeper truth.
So instead of only asking, why didn't they tell me?
Try asking this: what happens when they do?
That question can change everything.
Next month, we move into month 9, and we begin exploring the next layer of this work called the work. It's about responsibility, repair, and the choices that turn awareness into real change.
Because once you understand your impact, the next question becomes, how do I live differently?
And that's where the work becomes embodied, not just understood, practiced.
Episodes drop every Wednesday, and the work continues inside Conscious Conversations every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
We'll see you there.
Thanks for joining us.
Done.